record this to the cloud. Okay, let's start again. Want to establish attendance. So we have Julie, Jeff, Ira, Marcia, and myself. That is a quorum of the 6. We're only missing Sandy because she is traveling and she cleared. Let's go ahead and go to approval for the minutes. Can I get a yay on the approval for the
I'll
minutes?
second. Yeah.
And could I get a show of hands for approval? 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's done. Let's keep moving. Next is, I can't really see my agenda without closing screen here. The next agenda item is my report, correct?
Public comments.
Public, oh yeah, I'm sorry.
Non-agenda
Public
items.
comments. Thank you, sir. You'd think I'd know this by now. So let's go ahead and open up to 1-minute public comments. Let me get my stopwatch going here.
Would you like me to do that, Luis?
Sure, but just make sure that you stop right at a minute, okay?
Give me 1 sec.
Yep. Thanks, Ira. And I'm going to go ahead and go. Hi, Peter.
Hey there.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So we finally got a rockin' committee, and then you're leaving. Anyway, thank you so much for your help with my issue by the river. You jumped on it and put yourself in harm's way, and awesome. I mean, you're absolutely the best committee chair that we've had in this committee, and just 10 thumbs up. I can't say enough great things. Thank you. Thank you for your help.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, Melanie.
Oh, hi, thanks.
Hi.
How are you? Sorry you're leaving, Luis. I was looking at the agenda and I'm a little confused because I don't see any links. So I'm not really clear what it is that is item 5 is about. So I don't know whether or not I need to stick around, but I sure would like to know what that is.
Yeah, that'll be addressed by Jeff Hartwick. That was.
Are there links to share?
No, but we'll post it for you to read. It's a simple read.
Okay, so I have to wait and then you'll share screen. Is that right?
Yes, sure. Okay. Thank you. All right. And we got KKK. Okay. Yes, sir.
So which item? Did you take public comment on your minutes before you voted for them? You know, he forgot to do that. Well, is Luis already fucking up? We just started this meeting. It's been a bad day, hasn't it? And of course, you know why. Know what happened? Well, his hero, Gil Tiberius Cedillo, fell 284 points behind the challenger, Unisys Hernandez. Yes, how about that? And my buddy Rick Caruso fell to 2nd place tonight. I think there's been election ballot stealing.
Yeah. I'm
going to call it the Great Steal 2.0. When you go and you fuck him and put Karen Bass in there, I'm going to call it the Great Steal 2.0 because Goat Puppet knows that Rick Caruso.
And that's time. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else for public comment? Looking. I don't see anyone. Can I get a confirmation, Jeff? I don't see anyone else for public comment.
I see no one else.
Okay, next on the agenda, Ira, if I'm not mistaken, is my report.
Correct.
Okay, so hi, everybody. And I wanted to just report on the general overview of what's happening in Studio City and its perimeter. in regards to resolving homelessness. Right now, the 7 main areas, when I started in this position 10 months ago, they're still, that they've been resolved. The major encampments and the folks that were in those encampments have received help, have left on their own free will, have had housing, rehab, a variety of things, but those areas seem to be staying clear. CD2 and CD4, they know how to do it their way and to maintain those areas. I will say this, that a lot of folks that we were able to place at, not we, when I say we, the whole collective effort of everybody, all hands on deck, everyone participated in that. But at Highland Gardens, that basically room keyed model is going to be closing shortly. So I've had some of the folks that I would call my case studies. Jeff, one of the gentlemen that we met back in the day of Park and Ride, that been in and out of the street for the last 10 months. He's working, he's got his voucher, he's trying, but it's been extremely difficult. It's a slow process and he gets dropped out quite a bit. So you really need an advocate for folks that are trying to get placed and not fall back in the street. So that's a little worrisome, but I have spoken to CD4's teams there. They understand. They basically agreed that it could be handled better. It's not them in particular that are handling that, but they're working with the program to make sure nobody drops back into the streets. In regards to the existing encampments, the main area that is a issue that's been an issue for a while is right there on Vineland and the River Wash, just north of Ventura Boulevard. And that's been kind of a drug den for a long time. Done some work, done some placement there. That's CD4. CD4 is well aware of that. The county also has done a lot of work over there in the surrounding areas of that bridge by the River Wash, in the areas that are their jurisdiction. They've done some fence reinforcement, et cetera. But it's really about, as long as the narcotics are there and there's traffic and there's a supply and demand and there's people out there that are putting a bunch of hurt on people that are already hurting, meaning the dealers, and there's money to be made, those areas will still keep coming back. So the law enforcement, we have to visit that as far as what California will allow you to do, arrests around possession of narcotics, usage of narcotics, recovery programs that can get out there. And so that's really what I see mainly over there are a lot of narcotics, just like we used to have in some of the culture at Park and Ride, et cetera. Another area just to make mention of is in the perimeter, which is more in North Hollywood, but Toluca Lake, our partners over there, they've adopted a lot of the same methods. And prior to taking this position, I was working with the Toluca Lake Residents Association and Neighborhood Council even before I worked with Studio City. So they're doing field reports like I do. And I've sent some of our committees some of those samples. So that's working in that area. That used to be the 101 Moore Park encampment that turned into the River Wash encampment right next to the Moore Park 101 encampment on the border of Toluca Lake and Studio City, that moved on to Bloomfield as a residential street, that eventually moved over to the state property at the Riverside exit of the 101. And now that's in CD2. CD2 has worked with a lot of the same people. I will say that a lot of the encampments that I'm seeing now, encampments, folks, not transients that are walking on Ventura Boulevard, generally speaking, are a lot of the same people I've seen for years. I mean, literally years, people I've transported to personally in buses and things like that, to room key type models. And then they're back for, they're serving a different master of addiction. So that area over there by Riverside has been improved upon. There's some beautification with CD2. And now a lot of those folks are under the bridge over there between Vineland and Tahunga on Riverside. So that's not Studio City per se, but everybody's aware. And that's the other main area that I see. Greenway is another area where we're having some encampments on the back of 690, which we'll address in a little bit during the meeting. As far as Ventura Boulevard, I did some work with the county doing some like reconnaissance work where I looked around and there was some crime that was like lewd behavior, not so much like theft and things like that. And I was able to find a migration from the NoHo metro station, and the Universal metro station. So a lot of the transients that are walking on Ventura Boulevard, as far as my experience goes, definitely need the Department of Mental Health to send their home teams and they have a variety of teams that go out depending on the symptoms of the individual. Also, they have a Department of Health Services team that goes out that can help people. So those are a lot of the homeless folks that I see on the street. I had some phone calls, Ira, some folks you referenced to me, and I went and visited those folks and talked to the county, and they're working on that. The best I have to present is that there is an integrated care clinic. There's an RFP out, it's public knowledge, and it's out there to the public. The county building that's right across the street from Tahunga Library, that's not being used for much, is being developed, which will be an integrated care clinic. It will be an outpatient clinic. I want to be clear about that, an outpatient clinic, and also a hub, so that these teams of mental health specialists that we're talking about, in theory, if they're staffed properly and funded properly, can go out and serve Studio City. In my 20 years of being here, that's unprecedented. I've never seen that. And that integrated care clinic will function as a hub that will go to the Olive View Rehabilitation Center and to the Martin Luther King Behavioral Center. I've toured both of those brand new facilities. So that's good news in regards to mental health. In regards to the metros themselves, sure, security could be better at the metros. The challenge there is, remember folks, the metro are there to transport people. That's their primary directive. They're not supposed to be mental health specialists or law enforcement specialists. And now the metros have turned into these pretty unsafe areas, to the point where these are reports to me that, like with Universal Studios, they're encouraging their employees to use the metros to come to work, and it's there for the employees, but most people are simply afraid to do so. So the metros are really behind the curve, and I want everyone to, I'm hoping that you'll have some, I don't know if empathy is the right word, but some understanding that they're, where we're maybe 2 years ahead of the game, where they are now in regards to resolving homeless and getting homelessness under control. So that's an issue and should certainly be addressed, because there's a lot of an influx of homeless people that are coming through the metros, but it also could be looked at as an area that you could have response teams and teams of people out there to help them. So that's another issue, okay, to continue working towards. In regards to preventative preventative actions that I've been able to take, I was interviewed and I asked to interview with the Department of Sociology from UCLA. There was a PhD student, a group of students that are funded, and they wanted to ask about homelessness and the resolution of homelessness, how it's done through the neighborhood council and the effectiveness of it. I explained that we had so far to date 12, presented 14, tabled one with a room key motion we tried to pass, lost 7-5, but 12 motions or community impact statements went to city council, and they were all rooted in the symptoms and the conditions and the behavior of the homeless population on our Studio City streets. I was pretty proud of that. The areas of improvement that I recommended is, it's been very, very tough for me when we get to a point where we pass something from our committee and then it goes to the board, and then you want to get good public comment, and then the way things are generally structured is that when things are pushed so late in the evenings, 10:30 at night, pushing to 11 at night, and I've got mothers of children and people that are working, it's not really, I don't see city council working that late. I don't see Congress working that late, but here we have something where we're supposed to have the voice of the people, and we're not really setting it up structurally for them to be able to represent themselves. So I sure like to see an improvement around that to set up our residents to win. So that was my recommendation. Also in prevention, Hackman Capital Partners, the vice president of asset management, is the company that basically bought CBS Radford, and they bought CBS over there off of Fairfax. And they've got a really nice model where they are going to revitalize that entire studio, but simultaneously they're investing in the neighborhood. They want to revitalize opportunities in the neighborhood, beautification, jobs, and they were very concerned about homelessness and how they could contribute, whether it be investing or what they would do. And so they were taking it pretty seriously. I met with them along with consultants that are working for that firm 3 times. And I, threw everything at them and the kitchen sink, all of our accomplishments, what I recommended and who I recommended they support. And it's basically everybody on our Fab 4 flyer and all the people that have supported us over this last year. And I told them the way we went about it. So I think that's going to continue to show itself, because they're going to invest there, and they were very nice people, kind people. And that's really all I have. Those are the main issues that I would be continuing to do, and I'd recommend for the committee to keep looking at are a lot of the transient population on Ventura Boulevard, and making sure that Department of Mental Health presence is there. Teams of people, not the city outreach teams coming, because they're just not equipped and credentialed to handle the symptoms of a lot of those transients that are walking on the street. Okay. I can open up my report for discussion with the committee if you'd like.
Should we do public comment first, Luis?
Do we have to do public comment on that?
Jeff,
We probably should, and then we'll
Okay.
go to the committee.
Let's go. 1 minute public comment.
Ready when you are.
I'm looking. Oh, there we go. Okay. Hi, Rose.
Hi, nice to see you. Been a
Nice to
while.
see you. Yeah.
I think your report was great. I just wanted to say that back in December, it was early morning thing, I had to go on the subway from Universal into town, and I don't scare easily, and I was actually scared. It was like being in the land of the zombies. But in the last 2 weeks, I'm on jury duty downtown, so I've been on the subway every day, and I think the difference is like night and day. And while obviously they have a little way to go, I do want to give them credit. I think Metro's done an incredible job of cleaning up the station and cleaning up the trains. There were 1 or 2 people asleep on the train, but I didn't see any real trouble or anything like that. And there were people of all kind of ages and races and genders and everything else on the trains. It felt good. That's my comment.
Great. Good to hear. They're working hard. Okay, I've got, I don't have a name here, but I'm unmuting. It was a telephone number. It's 818, and it's the last 3 digits are 531. Go ahead. Hello?
Hi. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, it's Ruth.
Hey, Ruth.
Hey. So I was listening to you talking about CBS Studios, and I'm aware that they own several houses and apartments in Studio City. And if they could open those up to voucher holders, that would be a huge solution for the problems that you talked about earlier about voucher holders not being able to redeem their vouchers here in Studio City. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you. Excellent. And as to unmute. Carlson, that's you? The gentleman with the puppet?
What do you mean with a puppet? I am a puppet, sir. Yes. So, a rather long-winded speech there, bearded one. Yes. So, you're getting rid of the homeless. No. You're catering to drug use. Goat Puppet, on the other hand, offers services to all of those who are outside of the realm. It's very simple. You just have a one-on-one with people and tell them about having to need a crutch to live through life. I'm hurting my back. I need my pot. I need my dope. I need my crutch. Well, too fucking bad. We don't allow that here. No. And you shouldn't allow it. But what you're doing is codependency. You're encouraging this behavior and modifying.
That's time. Thank you.
That wasn't 1 minute, asshole.
That was 1 minute.
Okay,
Oh,
And-
thank you.
thank you. Okay, let's keep going. Peter Cole, Latora, I'm looking. I don't see anybody else. Jeff, you see anybody else? I want to double check here. Don't want to miss anybody.
Don't see anyone else.
Okay, open for discussion with the committee.
Yes, go ahead, Ira.
Still mute. I'm unmuting Julie.
Yes, go ahead, Ira.
And Marcia.
Yeah, I'll
you're
go ahead and
unmuted.
speak. I didn't actually raise my hand, but I do want to thank you, Louise, for your incredible work. I'm very sad that this is your last month because I don't know that we can find a better leader. And I just want to thank you. I know somebody will step up, and obviously this committee is dedicated and we'll do our best to carry on. How do we carry on? Is that next month's meeting where we talk about the future?
Well, you can, my recommendations for carrying on, first off, I'm basically, it was always part of, with me taking the position to end when when Randy's term came up and would end. That was always the plan. This is no earlier, no later. Had I wasn't able to resolve the 7 main areas, if those were still in existence, I would probably stay on. But I'm finding it getting to the point where I'm becoming the encampment person to resolve and we really have to make sure that we empower the neighborhood to understand how to do that, which we've started to do with our point teams and our services guide. So we want to encourage those point teams to continue to do that, which they have been. We also want to encourage them to empower the homeless individuals with our Fab 4 flyers. We want to support the organizations, Hope in the Valley Rescue Mission. We want the NoHo Home Alliance, the Interfaith Food Pantry, and St. Charles Church, which have been doing it, helping homeless folks for decades and decades, even as far back as I can remember. They're good at it. They know what they're doing. They're subsidized now by with not St. Charles necessarily, but like NoHo Home Alliance has contracts with like CD4 in the city, and those are unprecedented things. So there's been real improvement as far as the services and our ability to resolve homelessness, to prevent, let's say, encampments from happening and things like that. So those things are there, and we have done it. We've resolved these encampments at Moore Park 101. That was the 3rd generation of resolution, and that last one was an unprecedented county, state, and city effort together, which I had also never seen. So we've hit some new terrain in regards to, resolving issues. Now, as far as the preventative aspect, now that we've, let's say, gotten control, so to speak, over the encampments, which were creating people that were trying to serve the drug addiction, there was a lot more petty theft, there was more crime, and so that basically helped the general public to change their thinking once we got that under control. And then the things that were more glaring were clearly the people that are walking, on Ventura Boulevard that, are speaking to 3 different people. I'm not a doctor, but paranoia, delusion, just really don't have the self-efficacy to help themselves and need medical attention and medical care by specialists, even if it's some sort of treatment and counseling right there out in the field at the park or on the street where they are, so that the local businesses aren't getting windows broken constantly because of fits and traumas and things that are happening. So I think that's all, going well. I think the committee knows how to work with So to your point, Julie, is my work in the field was done an extraordinary thing because I knew I could get out there and do something extraordinary to move it along and get that resolved. So we've resolved those 7 major encampments now. And so that's really what I wanted to get the streets, so at least they were nominal. You know what I mean? Where they weren't just completely like Thunderdome and out of control. And so we've hit that spot. And the other thing I would encourage, and I've noticed, is that, and with some of the other committees, like Scott and Jeff have helped in understanding what the other committees can do to help support resolving homelessness. And it's not always on the back of the homelessness committee to take care of everything. So the board itself is being utilized better. Education and of the general public, engagement of the general public, what I would say was my toughest challenge. But once you get 1 or 2 folks in a certain area, you're good. And then I would say the other toughest challenge of my term was you didn't ask the specific question, was just the ability to get something done on the committee level due to civility, getting everybody, understanding each other and working together. And once we were able to do that first month and get things cleared up, the rest of it was really, it was tiresome and I'm slightly burnt out, but it was really a joy. And I'm really grateful for everyone that I met along the way. That help a little bit?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
And Luis, I was going to say, just wanted to thank you for your service, as Julie and a few others have echoed. And as we know, all of this work starts with a conversation, and we just started talking as I would see you on my walks. And I'm glad that we kept on talking and you asked me to join this committee. And I'm just grateful for you and your leadership and all the work that you've done in cohort with most of the people on this call. So I hope we're, able to keep it up in some capacity. But thank you for your leadership.
Luis, you're muted.
Tell your mom I said hi.
I will.
I hope she feels a little better walking on the street. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple, 2 points and a question. You said there was a facility on Tahunga. Wherever that facility is, when is that's being developed? When do you think they'll be opening? They expect to open? That's the first one.
Oh, I don't know, Ira. You'll have to talk to Jason. All of these contacts, those services guide that I sent to everybody, those contacts are up to date. The only real contacts that are going to be out of date is the state office will be changing over soon, I'm assuming. But Jason Maruka, who's on that thing, you can call him directly, and he's outstanding. He's been nothing. Both the county representatives have been so helpful. Everyone really has. They're just all only capable of doing so much, but we sure push the walls of their capabilities. He'll help you, Ira. He'll help you.
So yeah. the other kind of question, and maybe a point, is the new company, the company that purchased Bradford. You mentioned they asked you what they could do to help. So I have 2 ideas, and I don't know how feasible, if at all, they are. But I'm going to spitball and throw them out. See, maybe it could work. If they, depending on what they're willing to do, is there such a thing as a privately funded mental health crew that could go out and, of course, they'd have to work with, at some level, with the district. Maybe they could fund a couple mental health professionals to come out and supplement what the district provides. Maybe for lack of a better phrase, spot treatment. I know that's not the appropriate phrase, but I'm not thinking it completely through. I'm just speaking. That's number one. And number two, what if they really want to get in good with the local communities? I would suggest maybe privately funded cleanup crews that could also roam around once a week, once every other week, and and pick up some not tents, not people's belongings, but obvious trash that's on some of these hot spots. Those could be maybe some ideas if they're even feasible. Thank you.
Well, you're a board member, Iris, so just it's Hackman Capital Partners. I'm happy I can, text Scott or Jeff or anybody and give you my contact and check in with them. And I would really, really recommend that the neighborhood council just gets in relationship with that organization, because I don't think it's all about helping resolve homelessness. It's about helping support the community in its entirety. And you guys can determine as a neighborhood council how to best work together. But it's a real serious thing. I was taken back on how serious they are. Good people too. So I'll make sure you get that contact info. It felt that those conversations were more about, Luis, how do we support the people that are already doing the work? What's working and how can we help with that? And so we spoke of, again, the services that we've mentioned. I spoke of navigating and engineering through the city, state, and county offices in order to get, get the thread through the needle and get something done in a certain finite area, which is sometimes difficult. So I'll get you that info. Anybody else? Okay, we're going to go ahead and move to line item. Is it number 5, Ira? I can't see my agenda in front of me here.
It is. I'll share my screen if you'd like.
Yeah, go ahead. And Jeff, would you go ahead and you can present? Is that okay?
Sure. Let me,
And Melanie, this is what you're looking at. This was just timing, Melanie. We knew it was simple enough to understand. And
Ira, did you get that memo that
I have it.
has the proposed motion?
Yeah, I have that as well. Just let me know when you're looking to switch
that's what
over
you
there.
need to show. What I'll do while you're getting
Yeah.
that together is give some context. When I started at, when I was the advocacy lead for the NoHo Home Alliance, the relationship with Studio City was non-existent, and it wasn't very good as far as the general consensus was over there at the advocacy table. So I talked to Reverend Yeager at that time and said, well, I got an idea. And I was kind of bothered by the condition of Greenway, the Riverwash area that's managed by Parks and Recs, and it's right there behind Vaughn's, and it's from that strip, not the part from Radford to Laurel, but from Laurel to Whitsett, and then sometimes the south side from Whitsett to Coldwater. And it was just, overrun with trash. And so from January to about April, I pulled every favor that I could. I was supposed to be Luis, you're supposed to be really good at what you do. And I pulled every favor, and I'm not kidding you folks, between sanitation, Parks and Rec, LA Conservation Corps, community. Rose, who's on this call, was out there with a bag behind the First Interstate Bank or whatever it was, picking up trash. And we moved 20,000. I am not kidding, folks, 20,000 pounds of trash out of that park. And through that process, there were also people that were there that were hoarding, that were clearly not well. And we were able to, at the same time, get LAHSA, LA Family Housing, et cetera, out there. And so I plateaued about in April, and then April almost to just about maybe June is when my predecessor, Steve Johnson, called and said, I'd like to introduce you to Randy Freed. And Randy came out there, and that's where we picked up litter together, and I talked to him. I said, this is what I'm trying to do here. And I explained, just the general landscape of this, the private property issues, the commercial property, the county and the city. And then basically he appointed me and asked me if I'd like to take on the position. And then he did. So I went and resolved all these other encampments, and then I come back to Greenway, and it's starting to decline again. So I asked Jeff to look into the agreement between the county and the city, even after we've made multiple efforts and there's been multiple projects of appropriations and beautification trying to get implemented. Nothing seems to ever happen, and it's been about a year and a half. And I used to box, folks, and I don't like to go out not swinging. So here's my best jab for you. Jeff, could you go ahead and present?
Yeah, thanks, Luis. Luis was kind enough to obtain the actual contract. So the LA County Flood Control District actually controls and owns the stretch of the greenway between Laurel Canyon and Coldwater on the south side. So what the city wanted to do was to develop those areas for recreational use. So in 2008, the city entered into an agreement with the flood control district, basically the county. And what the agreement basically said was the city is responsible for the maintenance, repair, upkeep of that specific area. So one contract deals with Laurel Canyon to Whitsett, the second contract from Whitsett to Coldwater. And they're very similar. So the first one was signed in 2008 for a term of 30 years. So the city basically has a responsibility for 30 years of that particular stretch. And we should kind of focus on that because that's really where a lot of the problems are right now. So as you can see, I've quoted some of the agreement that the city is responsible for operating and maintaining the premises and greenway and it cannot permit trash or rubbish to accumulate, nor to commit, suffer, permit any waste on the premises or to operate the premises in violation of the laws or ordinances, and to remove graffiti from the premises. So recently there's been a lot of graffiti, and that's specifically written as a provision of the agreement that the city has to timely remove graffiti. And that's been an ongoing problem along the wall, the retaining wall along the south side of the greenway. Thanks, Ari. You can scroll down some more. So the other stretch is very similar. And I think part of the problem is I don't know that many in the city know about this agreement, or perhaps they've forgotten. The county hasn't. So I think there's some disconnect between, city sanitation workers or city parks and rec. They're not cognizant of this relationship where the city is actually in charge of all this. And so the county keeps pointing this out. In fact, the county has devoted resources, and Luis, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but they've actually done much of the cleanup along there in recent months, correct?
Yeah, above and beyond. When I pleaded with them, I just said the graffiti is just awful. Can you please help? And they found a way to help with some of the bigger murals.
So what's interesting is it's really not the county's responsibility, it's the city's. So it's, Luis and I are of a similar mind that we need to have a CD4 get more involved in this to ensure that the city is upholding its obligations under the agreement. Because if they don't, if there are a material breach, then it could revert back to the county. And then, who knows what's going to happen then. So Luis thought it might be a good idea to do a request for action to Councilmember Rahman to take fresh eyes to look at the problem, and then to reach out to the different departments in the city to see what their plans are to really stay on top of the cleanliness, the maintenance, and the graffiti removal. Because, if there's a lot of graffiti and trash, people are not going to feel safe. They're not going to want to utilize this area. And, Luis envisions one day of taking, kids down there and on nature tours and whatnot. And, that's going to be problematic if there are homeless encampments, layers of rubbish and graffiti. So here's the request for action. I'll just go ahead and read it. The Greenway is a wonderful landscape pedestrian and bicycle trail located on the south side of the Los Angeles River between Laurel Canyon and Whitsett Avenue. It is a vital recreational resource in the heart of Studio City, used by hundreds of stakeholders every day. Unfortunately, in recent months, there's been a noticeable decline in the maintenance of the Greenway. A large swath of the wall along the trail has unsightly graffiti. There's been a persistent homeless presence there, along with illegal drug use and littering. Many stakeholders feel unsafe to utilize this public treasure. Further, an agreement between the LA County Flood Control District and the city gives the city full control over maintenance and repair of the greenway, including graffiti removal and trash collection. The city's non-compliance of its contractual duties could jeopardize the city's control over the greenway. More needs to be done to clean up this area so children and other stakeholders can safely use the trail. The board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council, SCNC, therefore requests that Councilmember Nithya Raman requests a report and status of all efforts and plans by the city's Bureau of Sanitation, Parks and Recreations Department, and LASA to expeditiously remove graffiti, trash, hazardous materials, and to provide outreach services to the persistent homeless who reside on the Greenway, some of whom have resided there for years. So that is the proposed motion. Luis, you can jump in if you like.
I just want to point out that in regards to homeless resolution, why it's important is because when the park was, when we had our run back in early 2021, LASA had to come out with all of that beautification and when the park was being maintained, and they were sending out help. I had nurses out there helping people. So along with cleaning up trash and taking care of the park, also there was human services, not just sanitation services and services cutting trees, but human services. I mean, it's all skewed now. You're going to have an easier time with a bird that breaks its wing or something and getting animal services out there than you would ever get human services out there. So I'm just I want to shine as much light as I can on this area so that we can get help for people that are there, and we can get our public folks using the park as it was intended to be used.
Can I second that motion, or is this too early? Do we need to second it so we can have comment and discuss?
We have to go to public comment, don't we?
I believe we need to second it first,
Yeah,
don't we?
Julie, go ahead and second. Fine, that's perfect.
I'd like to second the motion.
Okay, so now to public comment. All right. Hi, Melanie, let me get you on there.
I'd like to
Go
hear
ahead.
from you. I'd like to hear from the others first, and then I'll speak.
Hi. The gentleman with the puppet.
Sir, I don't see any gentleman here. Yes, I am a puppet, but I'm also a sentient being. Unlike you, you're the puppet. I'm the puppet master.
Do you have something to say that
Really?
pertains to the motion at hand? That is what is required of this forum, of this committee. Speak to the motion, sir.
Well, I mean,
Your time is
I
running.
mean, I'm trying, but you're. Yes, I'm trying. I'm trying, human. I'm trying. Yes, maybe you're like one of those people in tents. Maybe did you take a little help hit? Yes, your little friends are causing too much problems in our city. I say, let's take a bulldozer and let's clean up our sidewalks a little faster. After all, what are they doing? Taking drugs and stealing carburetors, amongst other fun activities. Yeah.
Anyone else? I think that's Ruth. I see there. Go ahead. Hold on, Ruth. There we go. Ruth, you're on.
Kick me
Thank
off
you.
the-
Hi. Hi. Okay, so I didn't see any of these contracts or this RFA or these memos that you guys are discussing on the agenda. So I was just wondering where those are coming from. I think that they should be linked or something to the agenda so that people can read them and review them. So I don't know if this RFA was like emailed or whatever, but I didn't get to read it. I wanted to say there was a beautification committee called the Village Gardeners or something, and they got a bunch of grants to like maintain the greenway, and they never did anything. And then what was it? Oh, I think there was like $150,000 prop. Is it Prop K or something? Prop M? I don't remember. But a grant for that specific stretch of greenway, and I was just wondering where that went, because that was.
That's time. Thank you.
Thank you. And is that, I think that's everyone.
Okay.
Melanie?
Are you going to keep me to a minute?
Yep.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that. I expect you referred to the documents that well, first of all, this was probably signed, it should have been signed in 2004 when the Greenway was opened. I was on the VNOC for the development of the stretch between Laurel and Whitsett. And that opened in 2004. There have been problems over the years. We, in coordination with numerous other Studio City organizations, had requested over and over again to address the issues at this site. Some of you may know the site had been closed for a number of years because the city contractor didn't follow VNOC's recommendations, and the project failed in a way. And so they had to close it for years for repair. They opened it back up, but they didn't address a lot of the underlying issues. We continue to try to get money. We did get funding from the state, part of what Ruth was referring to address the issues in a comprehensive way in partnership with Rec and Parks part-timers, who were the only city staff who were doing.
And that's time. Thank you. Luis?
I want to
Okay,
take
wow.
I want to go another round of public comment at 1 minute. Go ahead and start, and we'll start with Melanie. Continue your thought. Thank you.
Thanks. So the proposal that we got funded was to take a comprehensive approach to addressing the issues on the Greenway, and to begin with a community charrette in partnership with LASA, and we had LASA sign off. The part-timers at Rec and Parks, who were the only city staff who'd been maintaining that, and I do mean the part-timers. We were going to work with we did an assessment of the condition of the Greenway, including the plants, what's native, what's non-native, what's invasive, the condition of the roads. We were going to work with them to deal with the landscape, to assess all the hardscape issues, to assess the social issues, and to bring in the community organizations along with BID, Chamber, Neighborhood Council, and others to have a community-based charrette to decide what needed to happen to make it safe and to make it sustainable. The city then took some of that state money that we'd been granted and handed over to Rec and Parks and said, you figure out what to do. Rec and Parks said it needs a new irrigation system. We're going to throw you several more $100,000. And then it sat there.
And that's another minute. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so, and I have to get the gentleman with the puppet. Here we go. Yes, sir.
Well, I mean, why don't you just give the lady 3 minutes? What's wrong, human? Afraid to hear from the public? You can't handle the truth. I forget which movie that was in. How about, ow, ow. I didn't hit you yet. Ow, now I hit you. Ow, ow. Now behave. Yes. Well, I'm just saying they're wasting the money. Hear all the thievery? Let's send this project to the FBI. That's what we should do, because it sounds to me like we paid for everything, but got fucked on our services, didn't we? And Luis knows all the details, don't you? Tell us about it. How much have we lost? And how much can we recover? And I could go there and I could put the plumbing in myself, because I know how to do plumbing.
That's time. Thank you.
Thank you. Ruth, go ahead. Give me a second. Go ahead, Ruth. Hold on, one more. Hold on. There you go. Go ahead.
Hi. Okay. Yeah, I don't see any of these documents on the agenda. If you guys could please put out like an email or something with all these things that you're talking about. I'm happy to email you a daily news article where it says Adrian Nazarian's Proposition 68 secured $150,000 for 2018 to 2019 for which set to Laurel Greenway. That's what I'm talking about. I'm just wondering what happened to that money because, you know, seems kind of relevant.
That's what I'm trying to explain, but I keep.
Oh, yes, but he won't let you talk.
Anyone else? Can we open it up for committee comment? I can start. Melanie, thank you for your comment. I understand. I still have your original project that you gave me when we first met at Jones back at the early 2021. Ruth, I'm very, very familiar with the Adrien Nazarian meeting and Councilman Corian standing at the base of Greenway at Coldwater before the pandemic. And I'm very, very aware of that. Nothing moved for a variety of reasons. All of what you say have described is completely true in detail. I understand all of that, and I have lived through that and basically did what I could to get it done myself to the best of my ability. Then we went to redistricting, and now it's no longer Council District 2, but we made sure that during the handoff, the appropriations from the deal that Ruth is describing and Melanie is describing were still appropriated, and the funding wasn't going anywhere. And so there was talks of that, people going out and looking again and pricing out the landscaping, et cetera, et cetera. And then it became Council District 4. And basically at this point in time, even LACC hasn't been out there and just nothing is moving. There's trees that are burnt. There's been multiple fires there. I've had to call the county because trash is being thrown into the water. I know Greenway better than any other encampment in Studio City. I can honestly tell you that. I walk it all the time and I ride my bike there all the time, and I've helped many a person there. And this is something that I just want to shine some light and force the hand of the people that can get something done at this point at the city level. And this is a contract of Ruth. I'm sure Ira would be happy to put it up there on the screen again. We read through it. It was an easy read and it was timing. We didn't have any links. We had to create this as best we could. And so he has that, and we can get that to you. And basically we're asking that the city basically is in compliance with this agreement with the county and maintaining this park to the status quo of all the other parks, Woodbridge, Moore Park, which are all within a 1 mile vicinity of Greenway. And that's the best hand that I can play forward to represent the residents over there across from Greenway that are asking me, and the business owners, the people, and the homeless people that are there, the people that I'm there to serve. And that's why I'm doing this. Anyone else on the committee?
Luis, has anyone looked into other cities and what they've done with these public spaces? I'm thinking like New York City. I mean, this is on a different level, but New York City and the High Line and what they were able to like affect change there and get that area clean up, which now it's like a destination even now, but they turned that into a 501c3 in conjunction with the city. And it's now all, you know, public and private support that funds that and takes care of that. I was just a recommendation to look at other cities and maybe what they have done with some of these public spaces and area to affect change.
That's a great suggestion, Marcia. I know that in addition to what Ruth and Melanie have described as far as appropriations, there's even an additional, what was it, $1.7 million that's in Studio City that's supposed to be appropriated to help people in the River Wash, homeless people. And I can't see how that's not going to help the condition of the park. And we'd love to see when that's going to get implemented too. So we're just trying to shine some light on this area with money that's supposed to be spent there. Jeff, let me get you going here. Thanks, Marcia.
Yeah, I think the bottom line is that the city has to uphold its end of the contract and do its job. And, you know, the county shouldn't have to step in and do what the city said it would do. So we're trying to really just focus the light, as you say, on the city and say, look, guys, do your job. You sign the contract, get it done. And I think that's really the essence of everything here. And I know Ruth is on the phone, I guess, so she couldn't see the motion. But Ruth, I just want to say we did actually have the motion available on the screen on Zoom and the background information. So it was available in that format. Thank you.
Ira?
I'm wondering who is the person who can actually release these funds and appropriate these funds? Who is the actual official who can sign something that gets that money over to where it was supposed to go? So that'd be really interesting to know, because then maybe one of us from the council can make calls, and hopefully we can make some kind of get something going. But it's like just kind of throwing a pebble into a huge ocean, right? I'd rather focus on the small pond to get right to the source. Does anybody, Luis, do we know? Jeff, do we know? Scott, Brandon?
Maybe we just send an email to George Placentia as a starting point and say, hey, will you look into this for us?
Okay. Luis, should we do that? Maybe Jeff, you and I want to hop on a call or something and maybe compose a brief email and follow up with a phone call?
Sure, that'd be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would make the distinctions, Ira, in regards to who signs off on appropriations. I understand follow the money is a general tactic, which is great, but the money's got to be paying for something. So if they have landscapers out there, they've got to go out there, and if Parks and Rec and whomever is funding and taking care of burnt trees, that has to be funded too. So I'm not sure that there's one appropriations pipeline. And then what Nitya Raman just had approved, which was, I think, again, don't quote me on this, millions of dollars towards the betterment of the river wash in regards specifically to homeless people. Who's writing that check too? So I don't know. You're going to have a few different sources based off of the work that needs to be done. So I would encourage you to, make sure you get your flavors together: landscaping, beautification, homeless services. Start with human services. It'd be really helpful, because it's easier to get a burnt tree taken care of and shrubs trimmed and graffiti removed than to help a human being in Studio City at Greenway. That's a fact.
I'm just going to offer my services as, please use me as a resource, since I've been deeply involved with this project for over 20 years, and I understand how all those things work together, and I have some of that money in hand. So I know I only get a minute and I'm jumping in and breaking the rules here, but if you want to understand this in a comprehensive way, and I do have some of that money in hand, then please reach out. Thanks.
Luis, do you want to do another round of 20 seconds
Sure, why not?
for public comment?
Sure. And let's go. There's Ruth. We can go a minute. That's okay. Just, we don't have that many people here. Let's give people. Hold on, let me get to Ruth. And go ahead, Ruth.
Hi.
Ruth?
Okay.
Hi.
Hi. So yeah, I thought that three people had a contract to maintain this, and also I wanted to say that the Daily News article about the Prop 68 grant, it says that it's the river project of the $150,000. I wanted to say that I actually am the one who got the trash pickups coming weekly. I don't know if you guys knew that for about a year. There's been weekly trash pickups on the Greenway. So I worked with Jessica Kugat to get that, and it's still going every week. So I don't know There was an arsonist that got arrested in 2019. I believe he was responsible for the burnt trees. He's still in prison or jail, but I can give you his name. But please put the RFAs and everything in the agenda so that people who.
And that's 1 minute. Thank you.
Okay. Go on and gentleman with the puppy.
Yes. So, you had to cut her off before she could finish her thought. And why are you doing it? Well, because she's not a campaign donor. Very good, sir. And she's been doing all of the hard work. But let's talk about people who commit arson on trees. I think Goat Puppet is entitled to level the punishment, being that I'm an animal. And I think definitely the death penalty should be brought back at a minimum for that. Because we need trees, don't we? Yes, you don't like trees because you like developers. The rest of us, however, need canopy cover to keep us cool so that we can go underneath and sleep and occasionally urinate as well. But the animals? No, the homeless, stupid. Where do you think they use the bathroom? The trees. It's okay.
And that's 1 minute. Thank you.
Did you call me, Lewis?
Luis, you're muted.
Lucky you guys. Okay, hi, Rose. Yes.
It's all right. I mean, you unmuted me, so I assumed it was my turn, but I just
Go
didn't
ahead,
want
Rose.
to jump the gun. This is very quick. I'm involved in some stuff at the Sepulveda Basin, which has some similarities in some ways with the Greenway. And Melanie has done the most amazing research and projects there for developing it in an environmentally great way. I don't go to details, but she blew me away. And I mean, I know that I don't obviously know all the history, but I think she is the most incredible resource you can possibly have for doing anything on the Greenway. Thank you.
Thanks, Rose. And I am the River Project. As she rightly mentioned, that money came to us. I'm just trying to, just Jeff, Ira, reach out to me. You know how to get me, I assume.
Can you shoot me an email? igold@Studio City NC.
Sure. I'm also in current conversation with the council office about this very thing. So, let's coordinate.
Okay.
Okay. Can we go to vote on presenting this as a request for action? It's just going to basically move whatever's going to happen, which I'm really hoping I'm happy to see anything. In regards to Ruth's comment, the 2019 arson was at the thrift shop, and I was with the homeless folks that were involved in that, the arsonist and the arson unit. The trees I'm referring to burning down, I'm talking about within the last month. I can tell you the variety of trees and generally who did it, but I don't generally report those homeless folks because they're not doing too well. They need mental health, so that's always the challenge to get them out there. So, and as far as the trash pickup goes, yes, there's a weekly trash, a very kind man who has a little, what do you call it? The thing that's a weed whacker. And he goes out there and he does a minimal amount. He's a wonderful man. He drives a yellow truck and he does take the bags out of the trash cans that have graffiti and all kinds of slander all over them. And he takes care of that. But meanwhile, up on the entire side of Greenway, there's filth and trash all the way up, all the way down. And again, it's been since January of 2021, and I'm the chair of a homelessness committee. So whatever beautification projects need to happen or be utilized from the neighborhood council, whatever committees are responsible for that, it's not happening. It's not getting done. So I support whatever you can, but I want to get this passed to get the councilman's office to do their job. That's it, and to get it going. That's the last thing I can do in this position. Please, can we go to vote? Is that Can I get a second on voting?
I think we're good to go with the voting. We just say, all in
Call the
favor?
question. I'll call the question.
Who's talking? What's that? I'll call a question.
This is Julie. I'm calling the question, which is a way that we can initiate the vote.
Oh, okay, thank you. All right, well, all in favor? 1, 2, 3, Julie. That's unanimous. Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, next on the agenda, Ira, is motion to adjourn.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I'm signing off here shortly from downtown Reading on my way home from driving a nice college graduate's car all the way back from Oregon to California. And you're all my friends. You all have my cell phone for the most part. Give a call if you need any help and support. And I will still be doing some just out in the street in the neighborhood when I see someone needing help and I can help move them along a little bit or introduce them to someone. I'll still be doing that kind of work. And I'm able to consult with whomever needs me about anything, anytime. Okay?
Thank you.
Thanks, Louise.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
great
you,
night.
Luis. You've been great. We're going to miss your leadership, and don't be a stranger.
Okay, I'll talk to you guys soon.
Yeah. Thanks, Louise.
Bye-bye, Rose. Take care.